Hey everyone, so you guys know over these next and last 2 weeks of school, we are going to be making websites. And before we do that, I want to give you an overview on how exactly websites work and how most people would go about making them. So we all know what websites are, collections of documents or files that you can access through the internet. And this is how people make websites using code. The basic language that you would probably learn if you were first learning how to code websites would be HTML, and then you'd also learn a program called CSS. If you take a web design class in college, which I strongly recommend, you will learn so much about this and it will be so interesting. And you can also think back to our Scratch unit where we did an intro to coding also. And Scratch is a coding language, but it's specifically made for people to learn the basics of coding, and it's all in blocks. So think back to that and then look at this picture of the code. This code is the language you would actually use to create a website. When you are accessing your website, you use a browser. We normally use Chrome, and a browser's job is to take all of that code, that crazy looking code, and turn it into something that we can easily look at and use. Websites aren't just like stored in outer space or on your actual computer. They're stored or hosted on special computers that are called servers. And servers are like these physical things in the picture. The server's job is to host the code and the files and make them available when someone requests it. So here's the actual process for how all of that would work. Let's say that you are on your computer, you type in a URL, youtube.com. From there, the computer sends a message to the server, and the server finds all of the code and files for that website, and it sends it back to your browser. I'm right here. And then your browser makes it so that you are able to see the website really easily that you wanted to go to. So how do you actually make your own website? First, you would have to set up your domain name. And your domain name is essentially just your website URL. So a domain name would be like youtube.com. Then you would have to get a hosting account. So you would have to get a server. There are many companies that do this, things like Wix, Bluehost, GoDaddy, maybe you've heard of them. And then you would have to create your site. A lot of people, though, they want to make websites, but they don't know how to code. And so really popular many websites out there are made using website builders. You might have heard of things like WordPress, Drupal. There's many other ones out there as well. And all of these are extra things that you can add in that will help you make your website without needing to know any code. So here's an example. My brother has a website. And first, he had to choose his domain. His domain is brianfbenton.com. And how that works is he went onto a website and he bought his domain. And so about every year, he has to pay $15 to keep that domain. Then he had to get a hosting account or a server for his website. And he uses the server called GoDaddy. And then he didn't want to completely type in all the code himself, so he uses a website builder called WordPress. And WordPress lets him be really creative and create his website how he wants. So if you're making a real website for a small business, that is how you would have to make it. For our class, we're going to be making things even easier. We're going to be using Google Sites, which is an incredibly basic website builder that does all of those things that I just talked about for you, and it's really easy to use. And the reason why we're using this is because it's going to allow us to quickly make a website in 2 weeks. So continue on in the weekly check-in and you will learn how to use Google Sites.